Alright, well, we're going to start off vlog 2 with the exchanging of the gas tanks. This is the old rusty one. It's a lot of rust in there. The car was sitting for, about 3 years. And then I drove it. I got it started, changed the fuel pump. And I drove for about 1,200 miles. And this gas tank killed 2 fuel pumps because of the rust in it. So I had to finally stop driving it. And now I'm getting back into it. So doing what needs to be repaired and a little more. All right. Next. All right. Well, I have the new used gas tank for the W220 ready to install. If there's anybody out there that doesn't know how to install one of these, I'm going to kind of be going through it a little bit. I know I didn't know how to uninstall it until I did it. It was nowhere to be found on the internet, so I will show a little bit of that. And also I needed a new fuel hose because this one was rusted off. That is broke. So went to European Automotive Sales in Moultrie. They do a pretty good job. And that's why I got the tank as well. All right. Next. All right. Well, if you didn't know, the gas tank is in the trunk. It's right there. It needs to be cleaned out in here, but this will all be spick and span once I get it on the road. So yeah, it fits right there. And for the people that didn't know, you cannot access the fuel tank from the inside of the car. You know how I know? Because I took out all of that stuff just to find out I have been denied. So yeah, gotta put all that stuff back in. But there you go. Just showing you where the gas tank is. All right. I have the tank in place, ready to be installed. Couple of tips. Make sure you have your wires on top of the tank if they were on previously, because you might have to take it out to get the wires back on top of the tank. It's a little tip. All right, the first thing I would do, or as I see fit to do, is put the filler neck back into the fuel hole right there. It's a couple of tubes, rubber hoses right there you have to watch out for. And that's the exhaust tube you have to reconnect to the filler tube up by the neck. I'll do that in a moment. All right, make sure this bracket right here is past the arch, because if it's in the arch, it's not going to fit in. And make sure you watch your wires on either side of the trunk, which you are going to have. All right, I'm going to set the camera down real quick and install it. Once again, make sure you watch your wires. And there are wires on the bottom of the trunk. Make sure you watch those as well and don't cut those, because you'll be going back in and fixing that. All right, as you see, have the tank in. And these go right in there. You put your screws on. And then, as you can see, 2 bolts that goes right there, and one for that right there, and the same thing on the other side. All right, next. All right, I'm gonna tighten up these clamps real quick on the exhaust. All right, that's tight. Now let's tighten up these bolts. Don't over tighten, guys. You might break it. Get out the way, flashlight. All right. I have all the screws, not screws, but bolts and nuts in. I have the tube tightened with the clamp. All right. Let's go up underneath the car. All right. We're underneath the car. We have our new fuel hose right here. We have a couple of new fuel lines that we need to put in there. And we also have this rubber boot that keeps the moisture from getting in the trunk. Yes. We have a couple of twist ties. Hopefully that's easier. That way I won't have to use the sorry ones that it came with, or try to get a screwdriver or small ratchet in there. We'll see though. All right, just a couple little tips before I show you the install fuel tube and hoses up under the bins. Like I said before, when I took the tank out, I cut the hoses to prevent me from breaking any of the plastic that it was attached to. These are the original clamps. They are a pain to get off sometimes. You need a tool to actually reinstall them, but I just use regular clamps. But these get squished together, and this piece right here connects up under here, and then it locks itself in place. But if you want to get those out, I use the little picker right here, and what you do is you basically just put that in there and then pull it and angle it, and it'll pop itself out, and then you just expand it and pull it over the hose. As you can see, I've already pre-cut my hoses to replace the ones that I did cut. And also, when you get these off and you get the clamp off, just don't try to turn it, because you could break the plastic. As you can see, I cut the plastic, not plastic, I cut the rubber hose down the side, and then I peeled it off instead of trying to rotate it and break it free, because you might break the plastic. All right, this little tip right there. And then on the fuel tube that you have to screw in, I use the 7/8, about this long. And be prepared to be twisting for a moment. It takes a billion, 4 billion, million tiny turns until you get it tightened. So just let you know. All right, next. All right, we're underneath the car. And if you look if you're looking up at the bottom of the car, on the right side of the differential, there is a hole in the trunk, and that is the bottom of the fuel tank where the fuel hose is connected to. That's the strainer right there. You can also take that out. You can screw that out. You can try to take it out up here or with the tank out. I check mine with the tank out, make sure it's in good condition. And then also on the left side here of the differential, you can see where you connect your exhaust hoses. And make sure you reconnect your rubber boots. Like this is the one that goes in there, 2 lines, and then you put that back up there. So but if you don't connect those, moisture or the elements will get into your trunk, and then it's just more problems. All right, I have painstakingly reconnected the fuel tube to the bottom of the fuel tank through the car chassis. As you can see, I suggest putting some Teflon tape around your thread before you screw it in. That way it won't back itself back out by any chance. And put the rubber boots on the hoses before you put the hoses on the tank, because you will have to disconnect the hoses to put those boots back on. All right. I've told you the sizes of the tools you need in a previous clip, so let's move on to the other side. All right, tips about this side. As I said, put the boot on the hoses. On this one, you just had to put the boot on the tank and then put the hoses on. I use the original clamps. They work pretty good because you have to twist those. I mean, not twist, but I have to pinch those and then push them up, shimmy them up the hose and get them all the way to the top. And then I did use some of the twist clamps, as you can see at the bottom there, to reconnect. So this job is done. Hopefully you learned something, and if you didn't, it was interesting to you. All right, the next vlog will be of installing the fuel pump and the fuel filter. Thanks for watching. See ya next.